White, you say a prayer for us,
Sure.
please?
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to gather here today to do your work. Lord, thank you for the blessings that you give to us every single day of our lives. The blessings we don't deserve, Lord, we are so thankful for them. Lord, bless us tonight as we conduct county business. Work through us, flow through us, and all the things that we do. And Lord, grant us a safe trip home. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, roll call, please.
Dakota White,
Here.
C.K. Austin.
Here.
Becky Golden. Jordan Cope.
Here.
Chris Brington.
Here.
Roger Mason.
Here.
Larry Daniels.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the March 3rd minutes for solid waste.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there any old business? Well, hearing none, we'll move to new business. Any new business?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any, but Tom was supposed to be here, kind of give y'all an update on some things. He said it'd be about 5:15, he was running late.
Okay. Well, if he shows up, we'll give him an opportunity to speak in Committee A.
I think you do have some convenience center workers here that they'd like to address if you get to that point.
Okay.
He might be here by the time.
We'll let him, give him opportunity to speak during Committee A about the update with the landfill.
Okay.
Okay, at this, the calendar update, April 21st at 6 p.m. will be the full court, next full court, and Monday, May 5th will be our next solid waste. It'll be at 5 o'clock in this room. Okay.
I think
Hold up.
Oh, okay. Would anybody from the audience like to speak?
Hey, y'all.
Good.
My name's Tom Frazier. I'm the tenant, second shift at Red Kelp Convenience Center.
Okay.
First off, thank y'all for letting us come by and talk to you, and thank y'all for the job you do for the county. There ain't but one way to get to it. We're here to ask for help with our pay. In the years past, they was skipped over. Never was nothing added to the convenience center wages. And it's not the same job it was 30 years ago when it was first started. The people that's moved in has made it real difficult for us to do our job. There's about 95% pretty good people in White County that's moved in and lived here all their life. Then there's about 5% that's entitled idiots. They just ain't no other way to put it than that. And them's the kind that puts our job a lot more than what it needs to be. They'll make messes and drive off and never say a word. They'll confront you and try to argue with you when you tell them where stuff goes. And that just adds to it. And our job's pretty important. I mean, we've got to pass state inspections just any time, you just can't tell. Wind blows, you've got to go pick garbage up. And like I said, you've got to clean mess after mess up. And the good people, that's what makes it worth coming in, is the good people that gets along with us. All right. The job was started in '95. That's when they was open. Minimum wage 10 years ago it paid minimum wage $7.25 is what it paid. It pays $8.81 now. That's $1.56. And minimum wage of $7.25 went into effect in 2009. So that in itself is sort of behind the times. But not having anything added to it is really what's got us behind. And there ain't no other way around it, we're behind. And even though it is a part-time job, it costs us the same going to grocery stores it costs a full-time employee. And we just like to try to get some help on it.
Mhm.
And a 30-year-old county job, $8.81, that just don't sound right at all. So if there's anything y'all can do, we'd appreciate it.
Well, this committee really don't have control over your all's pay, but it is, I'm on the budget committee, and the county employees across the board, including convenience centers, you know, we're looking at doing pay raises across the board this year.
That's
And,
all good on across the board, but you know, if it's,
Well, there's some sections, we've talked about you all
well, I
by
appreciate
themselves,
it.
so it's, I mean, we're looking at you a little harder than everybody else. We know that y'all are behind and, you know, we're working on it.
Well,
And we realize that you all are behind, but,
we need some help, we can
Yeah.
get it, we appreciate it.
all right, thanks a lot. Is there anybody else? Anyway?
I'm curious, for them to tell us what they'd be asking for.
Well, I ain't,
You got a amount in mind or anything that would be?
go ahead.
My name's Jerry Parker, in case any of you don't know me. And I've been working at the 84 Convenience Center for the last 8 years. 2 years before that, I was on call-in substitute. Like he said, I started out $7.25 an hour. Now I'm making $8.81. That's an increase of $1.56 an hour, which averages out to almost 16 cents increase a year. And I just don't feel like that's keeping up with things. With the cost of living going up, I think we should be making about $12 an hour. That's my opinion.
Do we have, I know that's a part-time, the convenience center workers is a part-time classification. Do we have other part-time classifications in the county?
We get no benefits either, that's another thing.
That's a discussion is what I have with the budget committee. I think we need to come up with a baseline salary.
Some kind of comparison across across classifications or something? Is that what y'all are?
Yeah. I don't disagree. His number is what I was thinking.
We feel that we're the lowest paid county employees in White or any of the surrounding counties, period. I guess that's about all I've got to say, but I really feel like we really need the increase.
Thank
It
you.
wouldn't be for us, they wouldn't be used to no garbage.
I'll say that is something that the budget committee, all jokes aside, commissioners, that y'all need to look at really seriously. Like you said, on the average of 16 cents a year, since that right there has been raised, that's kind of ridiculous, ridiculous. Me as a commissioner right there, I wouldn't go do it for $8 and something an hour. So why should we make them guys do it right there? We ought to make it worth their while, just like we make every employee. You know, if we're not gonna buy new ambulances, new police cars, or whatever, right there is, at least take care of our employees, whether it be the county garage, whether it be EMS, sheriff department, or whatever. I just wish the budget committee would look at it like that right there is. If we're not gonna do benefit for them, let's do it for the employees. That's my input on it.
Okay. Anyone else from the audience like to speak? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. order. Roll call, please.
Kane Rogers.
Here.
TK Austin.
Here.
Becky Golden. Laney Selby. Thomas Markison.
Here.
Derek Hutchins. Larry Daniels.
Here.
Do have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the March 3rd Steering Committee A minutes.
Motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize Roger Mason to give us a Parks and Rec update.
So at the last Parks and Rec meeting, we had some brief discussion on the project at the Roland Sawmill, the property there that was donated to the White County Heritage Museum, and we've got some more follow-up on that tonight. We invited some more interested parties that we felt like needed to be part of that discussion. We're hoping that they'll be here tonight to continue that discussion in Steering Committee B. We finally reached consensus on the sign for the recreational complex, and we've got a plan there that should happen pretty quick. Our highway supervisor, Mr. Sawyer, has been real gracious to help us with projects all over the county, and that's one he's volunteered to help us with too there. So we'll get some concrete down there and some electrical conduit and finally get a sign hung. We're getting some bids, some quotes for restroom facilities at the tennis courts, basketball courts over at the high school, and also at the down at the recreational complex. I think we've got a pretty good spot for some restroom facilities down there where the old house was. There's a pad that's already there, some septic already there. We don't think it'll be too big of a deal, but TK's helping us with that. And we hope to have something put together there by the next meeting. And then we had an update for those of you that haven't seen it. That county property over by the high school there, the principal at the high school, Mr. Wilson, has had inmates from Bledsoe County down there. They've probably got 3 or 4 weeks worth of work into that now, and it looks really good. All that property that was growed up around behind the football field, behind the basketball courts, around behind the tennis courts and all that, it's really cleaned up and looks nice. And we authorized the JROTC program. They've got a Raider team. They run like an obstacle course type program through, and we gave them permission to set up their obstacle course in that area down there around behind the creek. So that's all I've got, unless y'all got any questions.
Okay. Appreciate it. Okay. Is there any old business? Any new business? Would anyone from the audience like to speak? Hey, hearing none. Our next full court will be April 21st in this room at 6 p.m. And our next steering committee will be May 5th, following the Solid Waste Committee meeting. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
All right, Mark, we got several members of the commission here ready, and before you get started, I'll just give them a brief overview. This is the called the open meetings system. It's a new system for how we can conduct a kind of an up-to-date way of conducting our meetings, taking votes, allowing people to speak, updating minute taking. So, Mark, I'll let you start.
Okay, great. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me in tonight. I know you're busy, you've got a lot of business to cover, so to take time for this, I really appreciate it. So with that said, I'll try to be pretty brief. I know you don't have a lot of time. So what are we here to talk about? Open Meeting Technologies is a legislative meeting software. So in terms of your commission meetings, you could think of it as a visual aid to streamline your meetings, to improve your experience, the commission's experience, but also the public experience, and I'll show you some examples of that. We're based in St. Cloud, Minnesota, which is just a small town outside of the Minneapolis area, about an hour from Minneapolis, and that's where all of our service, our support comes from, our company in St. Cloud. So if anybody would ever have a question about how to use the system or do any training, that happens with our team. None of it is outsourced or offshore, Will. I would say today, I was looking earlier today, I think about 25 Tennessee counties are already using our system for their county commission meetings, plus a handful of municipalities like Springfield, Tullahoma, Manchester come to mind right off the top of my head. And those counties that we've been working with for some for a very long time. Like Anderson and Roane, I think Anderson has probably had it for better than 10 years. So we're well proven. If you ever want to talk to any of these, make sure that we're who we say that we are. Then I certainly could provide you with a list. So with that said, that's the preamble. Let me share my screen and let's talk about what this system actually does and how it improves your meetings. And I want to try to save enough time for questions in case you have any of those when I'm done here. So I'll just start pretty high level. So in fact, I'll start at even higher than this. The way the system's going to look, some of your meetings might look like this. So imagine in your room there, I can't see the whole room, but I can see a bit of it. You'll have your displays in there, and you'll be able to display on your digital displays in the room which of the county commissioners are present, what agenda item you're on, who made the motion to approve, who made the second to approve, who voted, how they voted, and the outcome of the vote. So all the pertinent, actionable items that you in a typical legislative meeting will be shared on the public display. And in fact, I can even show you an example right now of what roll call might look like in Robertson County, Tennessee, where they stream their meetings.
It was do roll call. Okay, I got 22 present, 3 absent.
Okay, so what you didn't see there is how are voting. There are 4 parts to the system, and for the commission, it's going to be very easy for you. You're going to have a tablet or some sort of a simple device in front of you, and on that tablet, like you see right here, you might call it your voting tablet. A lot of people do. That's where you'll mark yourself present for roll call. That's where you can mark a motion to approve. Once the first commissioner has motion to approve, that button becomes a second to approve. That's where you can request to speak. That's where, if you wish, you can view the agenda or the agenda packet. That's where you can vote. What's nice for you to know is that you don't have to know how the application runs on the tablet. You don't navigate a thing. There's nothing to know. The tablet will always be at on the right screen at the right time. So when roll is called, there will be the roll call button. When a vote is called, there will be the voting buttons. You don't have to know anything about how it works. It follows your meeting and it's always ready. So as you saw in Robertson County, as you would mark yourself present on that device, it would automatically show on the public display. That's the component here. That's
Hey,
the
Mark,
component that you see on my virtual background here that will show in the room. And then if you're streaming your meetings, most of our customers find a way to include the public display in the stream, whether if maybe you're streaming to YouTube, for the purpose of improving the public experience, because I don't know how many of your own meetings you've watched online, but it can be kind of hard for the public to understand what's going on in the meeting, what agenda item you're on, which of their elected officials made the motion or the second, and how the vote is going. So to have just that simple public display really improves the public experience. It improves the sense of transparency to the public. And we've even heard people, mayors and chairs, when talking about the system, say in doing so, it improves the public trust and confidence in their local elected officials and how they're running their meetings, simply because it looks better.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
That's not that hard to believe. Sometimes when they look better, you just feel better about it. The third component is the discussion manager here, and that's what your chair runs during the meeting. So as the elected officials, let's say you're in. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Denny.
Okay, my mic's on.
Not yet. There, I got you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, all we're seeing on the screen is a chat with Jenna Winland.
Well, that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's fix that. How's that? Is that better?
No, yeah, okay, yes, now we're seeing something. Okay.
I apologize. I've got all these monitors here, and I'm apparently been sharing the wrong one with you. So
Yeah, you may want to back up just a little bit to the roll call.
I think I am. Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna back up to the Robertson County roll call here. So this is Robertson County, Tennessee, and I was telling you that, pretty much anybody that streams their meeting finds a way to share this public display. That's what they're doing. Their IT person just put a simple video splitter in there, and they're just doing a split screen. So over here is a wide angle shot. Over here is our public display. Let's watch that roll call again.
Bill, let's do roll call. Okay, got 22 present, 3 absent.
Okay? So that's how you would mark yourself present for the roll call and what it would look like to the public as they're watching online. Now, as I was saying before, and unfortunately you weren't able to see it because of my error, this is what that tablet looks like. So that, again, just think of that as your voting tablet and not having to navigate anything. When the roll is called, that present button is there. When it's time to make a motion, the motion button is there. When it's time to make a request to speak, the request to speak button is there. And when a vote is called, this is how you vote. And it just is always on the right screen at the right time. And then as you're doing that, it's instantly in real time showing on the public display here, like you see behind me and like you saw in Robertson County there. So let's go through a couple more of those videos in other Tennessee counties. Well, here's Robertson County. We'll just kind of take them in order, taking a vote.
Okay, we'll start with.
Now I did mention before that it automatically shows which agenda item you're on, so the public can see what's going on in Robertson County here.
Mike Carter, District 3, going from Ag 2 to RPA. Need a motion? Got a motion by Counts. Second by Roberts. For that resolution, vote yes. If against it, vote no. Got 23 for, 0 against. That resolution does pass.
Okay, that's a vote in Robertson. Let's take a quick look at a vote in Williamson County here.
Okay, we got a motion from Commissioner Torres, a second from Commissioner Stresser. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, are we ready to vote? Press your yes button if you're in favor. Opposed, your no. Okay. Greg, are you able to? It's all right. Record the vote, please, Mr. Whitby. 20 yes, 0 no.
So it's a pretty simple process. And so I also had mentioned the discussion manager here. As you request to speak, your name will light up on the public display. It will look like this. It'll automatically put a number behind the name of the commissioner, create an automatic speaker queue, and so in order in which the request came in, then your chair will have the option to recognize people in order or out of order. The chair usually does flexibility to go out of order if he wishes. I would say 99% of chairs go in order, but occasionally they go out of order, and the reason they do that is because maybe a commissioner is a subject matter expert in this particular area and he wants to hear from that commissioner before everybody else. But that really brings some organization to the discussion process. So in this particular case, Commissioner Clarkson, Glover, and Mathis have all requested to speak. Clarkson has the floor, has been recognized. Glover and Mathis are still in the speaker queue. And what that does is it means you don't have to interrupt anybody, and you don't have to wave your hands or anything like that. You just enter right into the speaker queue by tapping the request to speak button on your tablet. So those are the three components that benefit the commission and the public the most. The fourth component is the meeting manager, and this is really for the clerk's office. For the clerk's office, there's something we call the meeting manager, and it's a big time savings for the clerks because it's an agenda management system that's all based on templates, and it's all drag and drop. And in fact, the system will even automatically produce the minutes for your clerk's office, perfectly accurate, and instantly upon adjournment, there will be a draft of the minutes waiting for your clerks. So most clerk's offices are pretty busy, can hardly get through everything that they've got to get done in a day's time. So to have anything that will save them some time allows them to do some other important things for the county. So I'm not going to go into the meeting manager now. That's more of a behind the scenes thing for the clerk's office, but the clerks absolutely love it. And I don't know what it's like in White County, but our clerks that use the system, they're really outspoken about what would make their lives easier. And so the features that exist in the meeting manager, a lot of them have come from good ideas from our users, from the clerks that use our system.
Our clerk is present, by the way.
I'm sorry?
Our clerk is present.
Okay, great. Well, think about what you're going to do with all your time savings. There is a built-in timer. A lot of the counties and the municipalities and the school boards as well, all three of those segments we serve, public comment is becoming a lightning rod. That may not be happening in White County yet. But we serve some people. Well, they'll have 20, 30, even 60 people sign up to speak on some, a budget issue, a zoning issue, something like that. And having a way to time the public speakers becomes pretty important. So we've got a built-in public timer. I've got an example of Jefferson County using it here.
I live at 724 West Deborah Street, and I've been a part of Jefferson Elementary for 37 years. A student taught there, my boys run, what we've all presented to you as a need for our county. To me, I think that's
okay, I'll stop it there. So you noticed it turned red. So like a football play clock or a shot clock, it can turn red at a predetermined amount of time. So we go through a pretty thorough onboarding process with your administrative staff. If you were to adopt this, we would send them a form and they would start answering a lot of questions like, do you allow public comment, yes or no? If you do, how much time do you generally give? We see minutes is pretty common. We also see 5 minutes and sometimes we see 4 minutes, but I think Jefferson here and a lot of the others are 3 minutes. And then they ask us to program the system and configure it such that it turns red at maybe 30 seconds. And then at 30 seconds, it'll play a ding like a doorbell. It'll go ding. And the reason it does that is because most public speakers are looking down, reading off of their phone, or they are reading off of a piece of paper, and then they hear that tone phone, they look up and they see that they're running short of time. When it gets down to 0, it goes ding, 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 and it stays a red 0. We do have the ability to record a WAV file or a voice. I can't remember off the top of my head which Tennessee county it is, but one of the Tennessee counties that uses the system, their chair would always watch the clock, and at 30 seconds, he would say, you have 30 seconds remaining. His IT recorded that, emailed us the recording, and we embedded that, and so now their timer at 30 seconds, it's their chair automatically saying you have 30 seconds remaining, and he doesn't have to watch the clock anymore. Here is a vote in Benton County, Tennessee, and I want to bring this up because you can see that they're just wrapping up some discussion here.
That's all I got.
I'll pause it real quick. So you see that Mr. Price has the floor, Mr. Arnold is in the speaker queue, and Ms. Bain is also in the speaker queue.
Thank y'all very much.
Commissioner Arnold?
First of all, I'd like to thank the board, chambers, business owners.
No, they're not taking a vote, they're just talking. Okay. Now, I did fire up an actual example of the system, so I could show you what it kind of looks like from your perspective. So with that, let me pull these up. I've got some member apps here. These are the member app that you'd have in front of you, the voting tablet, if you will. And then I will bring up one instance of the discussion manager here. And when roll is called, so imagine, I'll make this a little bit bigger for you here. Make one big so you can see it a little better. There we go. When roll is called on the meeting manager, and I'll just show you real quick here, this is what the clerk sees. For the clerk, just like when she's driving in the meeting manager, green means go. We keep everything really simple, whether you're the commissioner or you're the chair or you're the clerk. We just want everything to be really easy so you can just focus on the important legislative business and not this software. So I'll just give you a quick example here. When the clerk hits the roll call button, everybody taps their themselves as present. All right. And the roll is tallied. Now we need to discuss a public display here. This is what the public display would look like on your wall. So we've got these four people present, and I've got the quorum set nice and low so we can see the system work. And I will occasionally make that bigger so it looks better. It'll look better than this. So let's go to a first votable item so you can just see what it looks like. So let's just go to the approval of the agenda. Let's go into discussion. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, and as I said, we've got a motion from Clarkson. Can I get a second? We've got a second to approve from Russell. Is there any discussion on the approval of the agenda? Okay, no discussion. Let's vote. And when the last vote is cast, the system knows that the last vote is cast. We've got a motion by Clarkson, we got a second by Russell. These are the people that voted, and this is the outcome of the vote. So then the clerk on her display looks for that green button and it automatically just brings up the consent agenda. I'm going to skip the consent agenda for now and just go to public comment, which brings up the timer. And so now we've got our timer counting down over here. And it can be small like that, and it can show the list of people that have signed up in advance to speak. And if we need to, we can make it the timer bigger. I think Jefferson County, the example that you saw, they use up the whole display for the timer. And then of course we can stop the timer, we can reset the timer. We can add time, and if something would come up and we need to add time, we can do that. And it's all very easily done in the meeting manager. Okay, let's bring up an agenda item. and that way you can see what the request to speak looks like. Okay. So can we get a motion to approve Resolution 2025-8? We've got a motion by Clarkson. We've got a second by Vaughn. Is there any discussion? Yes, let's have some discussion here. Okay, and now you'll notice on the public display, we've got 3 requests to speak by Clarkson, Russell, and Vaughn. And then the chair, to recognize Clarkson, for example, simply taps Clarkson's picture. And now Clarkson has the floor, followed by Russell and Vaughn. In order to move to the next one, the chair can hit the green next RTS or the picture, either is fine. And it just cycles through the discussion. Okay, is there any further discussion on this resolution? No? Okay, let's vote. And now we go through the voting process again. And you can change your vote, of course. She loves me, she loves me not. And the system is keeping track of all of this for the automatic meeting minutes. And the clerk can even be taking notes in the system in real time, and those notes can automatically be embedded in the appropriate spot in the minutes. So that's the high-level overview of how the system works. If we did ever have a situation where you couldn't make it into the building for a commission meeting, the system will work remotely in a hybrid setting as well. So theoretically, and we have people that do this, you could be at home or you could be at the office with the tablet in front of you, mark present, motion, second, vote, request to speak, all of that, not physically in the building. Okay, Debbie, that is my overview of the system. Are there any questions or anything specific that you would like me to cover that I've not covered?
Any questions? Would you, huh?
How much it will cost?
Oh, the price. Yeah, I guess the price is the question.
So there are 3 versions of the system. There's a version we call Essential. There is a version we call, I'll bring it up here, here we go, Pro and Pro AV. Essential would be for the county that really just wants to focus on the electronic roll call, the electronic voting, the public speaker timer, the public display, and the agenda creation system for the clerk's office. That's the Essential version. That has a one-time setup cost for us to configure it to look, feel, and operate like White County wants it to look, feel, and operate. And then we train your clerk's office, we train your chair, and we can even do training with the commission if you'd like it, although it's pretty simple and it only takes a few minutes. But we certainly do it and are happy to do it. So the one-time setup cost for that system is $6,750 for the software. That doesn't include the hardware, it doesn't include any tablets. We don't sell hardware, we're only into software. That way you can choose the kind of hardware that you want. It works with just about any hardware, and I can answer those questions if you'd like. So there's the one-time setup and configuration of $6,700, and then there's an annual license of $3,750. And that's for ongoing updates to the system, ongoing training, ongoing support, etc. So your first year is going to be a combination of those two, $10,500 for year 1, and then year 2 is just the license of $3,750. So if your clerk's office wants to get into some more sophisticated agenda management tools, then that moves to the Pro version. And if you want to integrate it with your cameras and microphones during discussion for automation, then that's the Pro AV version. We have quite a few Tennessee counties using the Pro AV version. The way that works is If several commissioners had requested to speak and one commissioner is recognized by the chair, in our discussion manager, our system sends us code to your audio video system, and it will unmute the microphone of the commissioner who's been recognized, while the rest of the microphones remain either totally muted or gated at a lower level, and it will automatically pan your camera to the commissioner that has been recognized. Then when the next commissioner is recognized, that commissioner's microphone is unmuted and the camera automatically pans to that commissioner. So that's for camera microphone automation during discussion. Those are the 3 versions. And I can send you this again, Denny, in terms of the cost. The Pro AV, as I said, is $67.50 to set up. The Pro is $97.50, and the Pro AV, because of the complications of the audio, video, everything else that goes into it, is $12,250. And then here are the corresponding annual licenses.
Yeah, I have that. You don't have to resend it. I'll make sure they get a copy of it.
Yeah. Now, a common question is this. Maybe you're not sure if you want the Pro or the Pro AV. I hear people say, well, hey, Mark, could we just start with the essential version and get used to it? And then, if we love it, then we can move to the Pro or the Pro AV later. Yeah, absolutely, you can do that. That's not uncommon at all. Sort of baby step into it. Let's say year 1 you did essential and you loved it, and in year 2 you said, hey, we need to improve the camera microphone setup here anyway. You could move to the Pro AV, and then in year 2 you would just pay the difference. You wouldn't pay that whole setup cost again, and you would just pay the difference at that time because you've already paid a significant amount for the setup. And of course, we don't sell hardware, but we do have some partners down in Tennessee that we work with. In fact, I think one of them is right there, is out of Nashville. They're called CTI. And we've had very good luck with them working with some of the counties that we work with, helping them with their audio, video, their displays, all that kind of thing. Any other questions, Danny?
Any other questions, commissioners?
There's got to be questions.
I'm not concerned, but is there any kind of maintenance fee if there's any issue with the equipment? Is it automatically they back their product and help you at any time?
Basically a warranty question.
Of the hardware?
Well,
maintenance, is there a
I know you're a software.
Yeah.
But
we do warranty the software, absolutely. The software's got to work. It's got to work all the time. And if it's not, we're on it. There's no question about it. In terms of the hardware, we don't get involved with the hardware, but I can tell you this. The tablets that are required for something like this are not very expensive, and they're not very complicated. I've not really heard about any hardware problems with the tablets, the displays, or the hardware side of the system. But just to be clear, any hardware issues that if you did have a hardware issue, then that would be serviced through your audio video contractor. Good question.
All right, Mark, I think that's got it.
Certain
question.
Okay.
Wait.
I got a question. Are there updates to the software and are there costs?
Ma'am, we got a commissioner.
Okay.
What I was wanting to find out is if we're going to do anything remotely, what hardware do we need for that?
Well, since you brought that up, I
exclusively,
wasn't going to say nothing, but Tennessee law won't allow us to vote
That's what I
remotely.
thought. I was wondering.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to muddy the waters with that, Denny. It may be, in an emergency sort of a thing, like, quite a few were doing that during COVID.
During COVID or something like it, yeah, there was a...
But since the question did come up, let me just say that it's the same hardware. There's no new hardware. If you did find yourself in a situation where you had to go remote, God forbid another pandemic, it wouldn't require any different hardware at all.
There's software. How often do you have software updates, and are there costs with your company doing that?
Is there cost with software updates?
There's no, great question. Cost to it, that's included in the annual license, and we're doing software updates approximately each quarter. Some are very small, some are pretty significant.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, those are great questions. Thank you for having me in. And Danny, if there's any other questions, feel free to reach out.
Will do.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, at this time, we'll call Steering Committee B meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chris Burrington.
Here.
David Cranford.
Here.
Robert McCormick.
Here.
Dakota White.
Here.
Jordan Coe.
Here.
Roger Mason.
Here.
Kyle Goff.
Here.
Do you have a quorum, Mr. Chairman?
Right. First item on the agenda is the approval of the March 3rd Steering Committee B.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Cranford and a second. Is that you, Commissioner Brewington? Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services MOU. I believe we have that in our packet. It's a non-binding framework for collaboration between the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services and White County. Do you have any additional information on that, Mr. Executive?
That's a MOU that was sitting down from the Tennessee Department of Veterans. They're going to update our computer software and update the way they process veterans claims. It's no cost to the county. The only thing that we have to provide is continue to have a veteran service officer, which we do. And this is more, doesn't really require any action, but I wanted y'all to just be aware of what was going on.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve that memorandum of understanding. Any discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, I'll apologize. I asked Brooke to add this. Committees ran together in my head. That was an agenda item for Parks and Rec and not for Steering Committee B. So it's just an error on my part. So item 5, I had asked to be placed there. It's not an agenda item for Steering Committee B. Item number 6 is approval of resolution for license plate reader equipment acquisition program, and there is some information in there in our packet related to that too. And if Officer Thies, if you would give us a little bit of history and information on that, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. So a few years ago, when we purchased the LPR vehicle, that was a demo vehicle from Madden Associates. It was passed through the minutes as the county approving LPR for our agency in the county. Fast forward to now, for permits for the state for us to put cameras on state roads, it was not enough for their permits to move forward. So they're just needing to kind of clean this up through our legislation stating that White County legislation is aware of LPR in the county.
Now, if I remember right, last year you guys were looking to grab some license plate readers also.
Yes,
It was requesting the budget.
Yeah.
But we weren't able to do that. What is this, how is this different, or?
So Flock, to get the permits from the state, for all of our cameras, except for I think like one, is actually going to be on a state road. So it has to go through TDOT permits. But if we were going to put it on, I don't know, some back road, we could do it all day. But being that they're going to be on, like when we went in with the city for the one that's at Walmart in Bachman, we're still waiting for that permit to pass on Bachman. So we're kind of getting ahead of the curve to go ahead and start the permits now, approval, which would have already kind of happened. But then when we went back, I had Chad look through the minutes, because they said just as long as there was something stating it, well, it talks about the demo vehicle and all that stuff, but it never actually fully says LPR in it. So they just want this kind of clarified through you guys.
So what is the, you referenced that demo vehicle, what is that?
So we purchased a demo vehicle. Madden Associates is a upfitter organization company. Light bars, push guards, cages, radar, they upfit a whole vehicle. So we had the opportunity to purchase one of their demo vehicles as it was rolling off their fleet. So their demo guy would go drive around, their vendor would go around to different agencies. You could see all the new cool technology at the time. The guy asked me, is going to be rolling off the fleet. And so the vehicle, Chad, tell me if I'm right, what was the actual price that we paid? $35,000? I think it was $35,000, but it was worth close to $80,000 with the $40,000 LPR system that came with it for free. So that's whenever our county obtained LPR, and when it went through the minutes of purchasing the vehicle, going back to now, the state doesn't fully recognize us having LPR in the county, and needs this resolution to move forward for permits later down the road.
Chairman. Just update us on what the LPR is and what it does.
License plate readers, yes. So it will alert anytime there's stolen vehicles, wanted people, BOLOs, Amber Alerts. The technology helps tremendously. When we have missing people, we can literally throw a license plate into it. I think the last one we had a couple weeks ago, we had somebody up off of Gold Mountain Road. We were trying to find them, plugged it in that fast, told us that all the plates that it hit, of course not in our county, but hit going to, I think it was Kentucky. So the last read was it was like less than a few minutes from a truck stop. We contacted that agency. Hey, so do you guys mind going out there, see if this vehicle's there? They located the individual like within, it was under an hour. Without that technology, we wouldn't have been able to find them.
And so I know I've researched a little bit. I know that one of the closest areas that I know of that I've actually done a little bit of reading on is the Mount Juliet Police Department.
Yes, they have.
And I know they had some controversy back and forth getting it approved and whatnot. And I think I understand it correctly that it doesn't flag unless there's already a, so in other words, like if I haven't done anything and I drive through there, it doesn't
do nothing.
It doesn't do anything with my license plate, but if there's an active warrant or missing person report or whatever that's entered into the system, that's what it's seeing. Yes. If I understood it correctly.
That's correct. Cookville City has it, Monterey has it, Putnam County has it, Crossville has it, Van Buren is in the works to get it. I mean, it's everywhere. The reason why we're going with Flock is the LPR company that's on our vehicle ends up not having a lot of network here. So that's why we're going to go with Flock, because it's also cheaper too. And you're in a network that all the agencies around us are using. If you go to Lowe's, Lowe's has them personally. Those cameras there at Lowe's.
So you guys don't actually have the cameras at this point, right?
No, sir. We're at the first stage of it. So to get permits, we have to go through this process. And like I said, they're asking us to kind of clean it up and actually have a resolution from you guys, just so it's.
Is there a collaborative agreement across the state, or is it county by county, or?
Like an MOU? Yeah. So the full network, it will say, Crossville's asking for permission to access your cameras, or just so say if they're working on a case up there of a stolen vehicle or something like that, they can plug that in and it would show from our cameras this time and date that it went through.
I got you.
So yeah, it doesn't just show the public's information. You actually, like for instance, if I was trying to investigate you, I'd have to put your plate in, the reason why, and the case number. Like, you know, I can't just sit there all day and watch the cameras and watch who's going up and down the street.
No,
My opinion, it's not violating anybody's rights, if that's what
you said there's multiple companies, right, that do this?
Yes, there's Flock, Leonardo, which is what we have, or LSAG is what it's called.
Do they?
They don't talk to each other. That would be awesome if they did. Motorola is another one, which is what the state has on their patrol cars. That was, I think they moved forward with all of those whenever the Von Crum grant came through the state. But Flock is the agency or the company to get.
So who the one camera that's over at the intersection by Walmart?
And the one at Bachman, right there by Captain D's, the pole's there, but we're still waiting for that one to go up. We went in with the city and Walmart with the Walmart grant. Every year we get funding from Walmart, and so myself and Chief Nick Dunn decided to go in together instead of them splitting the money, some with the city, some with us. We're like, let's just all go in together. We can all benefit with this purchase this year, or last year. And so that's what we did.
Will it alert for expired tags or anything like that?
You can, but it'll be dinging all the time. So it's mostly for wanted people. That, like I said, for it to be wanted, that's NCIC. So a law enforcement entity has to put that in to be looking for your vehicle. Again, so that's what I'm saying. Even though you're driving past 100 times, it doesn't really care who you are, unless there's a criminal element to it or somebody's missing, Amber Alerts, anything like that.
So, but the next question I guess I would have is a budgetary question, because just looking at like a resolution, and it intrigued me that Commissioner Cranford made a comment that it was proposed last budget cycle and wasn't approved.
It was expensive, yes, sir.
Okay. So what are we looking at as far as this budget cycle?
Using drug funds, sir. It's not going to cost the taxpayer
And that's
anything.
because my question is like if we send a resolution to full court supporting the acquisition of license plate reader equipment and then don't fund it. I mean, you see where I'm going.
No, I see
right?
what you're saying. I don't think it's approval.
I don't know if
to
those
purchase.
yeah.
It's approval that you guys are aware that our agency or our law enforcement entity for White County has LPR capability, which honestly, that probably should have been something that went through with that LPR purchase, but we didn't know. This is what's been proposed to the state for cameras, where we are wanting to place cameras. It's pretty much every entry point into White County. So we will know if somebody's wanted for murder, comes into our county, which has happened, or stolen vehicles.
Yeah, but if they don't talk to each other with the state police, how would we really know?
So it's through NCIC. So that's where all law enforcement agencies in the country, it's reading that info from that. So I could put you in as being wanted here in NCIC, you could be in California and hit a camera there, and it's going to alert LAPD that you're driving down the highway and wanted.
Regardless of the system they're using.
Yeah. So all of these systems, the 3 systems that you named off, will actually communicate with one another through the NCIC or?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So even though,
Direct.
yeah, somewhere in Florida could have a system that we've never heard of, someone's decided to make their own, if they have the NCIC access, and we put them in as wanted or, missing, it'll alert them if they're using NCIC. Yes, sir. Which I think that's
You just
probably-
can't pull
I think
up-
that's a standard.
If you have a Flock, if you're using Flock software here, you can't pull up and view camera footage from a system that's running Motorola.
Right. So, I mean, to give an example, I mean, if we would have had it in the Crossville line area with Roy Wyden's situation, we could have seen the vehicles that were in the area at that time. And that probably could have helped with that case a lot.
So this committee just needs to approve
We're just,
policy.
basically what we're asking for is sending a resolution to full court. And we've got an example, that, the sheriff's office finds the use of LPR, equipment, aiding the reduction of crime, lessen the chances of victimization of citizens and visitors, and speed up the process of locating missing and abducted. And then, so basically it says the legislative body supports the sheriff's office, acquisition and use of equipment in the implementation of a program to use such equipment by White County Sheriff's Office to reduce crime, so on and so forth.
I make a motion to approve that, send it full court.
I know I'm out of order, Mr. Chairman, but I would ask that we do a contingent upon attorney. Look, anytime we have a legal document, I would like the attorney to look over it.
Contingent upon,
Contingent upon attorney's, county attorney's approval.
yeah, contingent upon Sam Bedingfield approving that document.
Anybody else want to see this?
We appreciate you coming.
Thank
Great.
you.
I think that's fantastic.
So we have a motion by Commissioner White and a second by Commissioner McCormick to send after review by county attorney, a resolution to full court supporting the use of LPR equipment by the White County Sheriff's Office. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is our EMS Medical Transportation Service Agreement. I believe Executive Robinson has some information for us on that.
This is an agreement with Cookeville Regional Medical Center. They've had some issues with when they discharge a patient that still needs ambulance service or some way to get back home. They would call the county where the person lives, and then the ambulance would come over and get them. And then there was, I won't say for the record, White County has not done this to any of our citizens. But there were some counties that would go over there, and if the person couldn't pay or didn't have insurance, the ambulance service would go back home and leave the person there. So to correct this problem, Cookeville Regional Medical Center is agreeing to pay for transportation of patients if they're unable to pay for itself to get them back home, to empty up beds in there. So all this is just a very little extra income. Way we handle it, when our ambulance arrived on the scene, the ambulance was already there. The ambulance was going to have to drive back, so we went ahead and took the patient anyway. This will just prevent that from happening in the future. And requested, and this has been approved by legal and approved by Mike Curry DMS. So I ask that you send it for full court for consideration.
Motion to send it full court.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is old business. Is there any old business to come before Committee B? All right. Next item on the agenda is new business. Do we have any new business? All right. At this time, I'd like to, we have kind of passed him down the line. I'm gonna ask Mr. Brandon if he would come and give us a brief update on our status at the landfill. Where we're at permit-wise and current situation. What do y'all need from us? How can we help?
Yeah,
Where we at?
thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
On TV this time.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for obliging me tonight. Yeah, so as last month's report, I think Mayor Robinson reported that we're in the process of releasing our bids for our new construction of our cell. Bids were published. Those bids have been awarded to Wright Brothers. They are going to be starting construction ASAP. According to Stephen Clark, he's our senior landfill manager, you guys all know. So I talked to Stephen just, I don't know, a couple of hours ago, and we're waiting on the GO permits, so forgive me if I don't know the lingo of the landfill, but as soon as we get that approved, then we will be issued the permit, but there is a 45-day public comment, and at that point in time, then we'll be issued the permit. So the big question is when we'll be able to start taking trash at White County, and that's still on target for October. So that's what I know.
All right. Any questions?
Any questions that I could answer?
Good news.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all's
Yes,
patience.
sir.
We're
Thank you, sir.
making progress, so looking forward to it.
Excuse me, but I want to ask.
That's good.
why we discontinued our separate plastic recycling. Why we separate, why we discontinue separate plastic?
So that wouldn't be
Okay,
a
just
solid
checking.
question.
I'm a huge recycler, sorry.
We are too.
Just to conserve our world, thank you, and I'm just like blown away, they did away with it.
We can talk offline here.
All right, Doctor, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Anybody else in the audience like to address steering committee B? Would come forward.
I just had a question. I thought the opioid settlement money was possibly going to be
Budget.
today.
It's after this.
Okay, all right. Get ahead of y'all.
No problem. If anybody needs to address steering committee B, come forward, state your name, and we'll let you have 3 minutes to address the committee.
Cool. I don't know if I can stand that long, dude, my health, okay? I am concerned about, I'm up in Camp Bel Air. It's a very close community. And I have a couple people, I think, trying to compete for first place for a junkyard within a housing community. If I'm correct, junkyards are zoning, business license, and I'd like to know what we can do about people maintaining their property due to high winds, litter, coming into other properties, just piled up trash causing snakes, rats, mice, fleas. I do take care of my neighbor's cats. I do frontline. I feed them twice a day. The first time I've ever had worms because a bag of trash or two sat out for over a year in the hot heat. So if the cats weren't eating or I was out of town, I'm sure they're getting into it since I let them into my house. I have dewormed all of them. I have tapewormed them to make sure. I've taken my cat to the vet. I'm lucky I have it to take care of that. I've helped the community up there in anything I can. I just need to know. I understand county. I grew up in the country all my life in Loudoun County, Virginia. I've never seen anything like I've seen here in all the places I've lived and traveled. To each their own. My understanding, I don't know what steps we need to approve it. Have at it. Build a privacy fence all the way around your property. Do what you need to do. But when it starts to affect my property, I had a friend come help me do some things, and she's picking up trash from my neighbor. And I'm like, well, you get fed up. I did have the assistance of our wonderful sheriff's department on one that was just disgusting, and it was blowing all over. We've had a burned property. Thank God they showed up. It seems to be their crap was blown all over the place, and it is a danger to if there's children or animals. Looks like they're dismantling it by hand. God bless them. I'm grateful. But there is a list I've spoke to Brooke about and called in and just double checked. We've had another neighbor, 700 is immaculate. They built a fence. My understanding, they're from Georgia. They were going to do a tiny house. And Jerry is one of the most wonderful human beings. He mows the burned property because they never showed up with grass growing. They put a fence up so they didn't have to look at the crap next door. He plans on trying to clean it up. His son came out. There's another neighbor, wonderful, the person I had issues on the corner. I need some help, and I understand county, but you're not on 4 or 5 acres. You are living really close, and that's okay. But it affects the value of the equity of my house and what I did to it. And I was brought up to maintain and care and have, pride of my neighbors and taking care of things. What process or procedure is there here in White County to help us with that?
Ma'am, there isn't. And that's sad to say. We, the previous commission had actually set up a program to where we could actually hopefully have some kind of a safety and health thing. And unfortunately, when it came to this commission, it was voted down and eliminated.
My understanding, he didn't send it to the House.
Well, no, we did it just in our county, just for our county,
Okay.
and we weren't able to. And it was, the majority voted it down, and I'm sad about that because I've seen many properties like what you've spoken about, but because there's a few that have larger parcels and don't want control over those, the smaller parcels are the ones who suffer the most. So from me to you, I apologize. I did what I could, but there's several that were on here, and you can look it back and you can see, and then you can find out who voted for and against, and you can talk to them specifically and show them your properties, because I've seen several that are, make White County look very, very bad.
Well, is there something where you can have at least photographs and at least a letter from the mayor and waking people up?
No, ma'am.
No.
How about littering? When that property affects other people, then I can go and
Civilly,
Civilly,
you can file civil suit, but, to Commissioner Cranford's point, this is my 7th year on the commission, and this issue remains the single biggest issue that I get calls for. I don't get calls for sheriff department stuff, I don't get calls for roads, I don't get calls for anything else. The calls I get are because I've got a neighbor with 6 feet of garbage piled up in their yard, and it's blowing over in my yard, and I got rats running in and out of my yard because of the unhealthy, unsanitary conditions that my neighbors are living in. Can you please help me? And it breaks my heart because I have to say no, because in my opinion, we let a very small group of people with a very loud voice back this commission off of a plan that we worked for 2 years to establish so that we could address some of these things. And to his point, the position that we're in now is our hands are tied. And so what we have to tell poor people like you who have to deal with it is the only recourse you have is civil action. And I wish I could tell you something different, but legally, I cannot. We have no authority or no standing in the county to go and tell somebody what they can or cannot do or how they need to maintain their property.
But what about health department issues? It's a health department. It is a health hazard.
We've reported things to EPA. We've had properties where we had
Raw sewage.
Septic,
raw
yeah, we have
sewage,
it all the time.
septic
None of that.
things, and we report.
See, I went straight to
EPA.
DC, I come from a boys club little town, and I didn't mess with them, I went straight to DC. When I had a slumlord in my neighborhood with that, I was watching out for his renters, because I watch out for other people who can't really help themselves.
Is there an HOA where you live at now?
No, I wouldn't have bought. My Florida home, I catered to snowbirds 18 years, will not do HOA. My understanding it expired. They didn't renew it. I was borderline coming in. I've been there 5 years in March. And there's some kind of association, but it's kind of useless. It's just useless. It's like smoke and mirrors. I've appealed kindly. I've bought dog houses. They don't take care of certain animals. I don't tolerate that. The bulletproof vest, this county will have a lot when I die, probably by next year. I'd rather take care of an animal than most people, but I still have a kind heart. So White County is going to see a lot from my investments to help with our animals here. I wish I've done as much as I can for even my neighbors. It's just who I am, it's where I come from. But you'd think in common courtesy they could repay you by just maintaining. I'm not asking you to plant flowers. I'm asking you to mow. I'm asking you to haul your trash. I'm asking you when you waste all your money on junk that you lay in the yard to be ruined. Just, that's it. Doesn't have to be beautiful. It just has to be maintained so you're not drawing bugs and problems to my home. Because I'm a clean person, and so far I haven't had any of those issues. So I just wanted to come and see what we could do, and I feel we'll find other routes to see if we can.
For my part, I challenge my fellow commissioners to revisit. We had a plan in place that a lot of work, a lot of research went into, and I'm personally challenging the rest of my commissioners to revisit that plan. Was it perfect? I don't know. Are there things that we could do different? Possibly. But this is the single biggest issue that I have come to me as a commissioner.
My understanding, Commissioner Sherrill, and I'm like, well, does he like a junkyard for a property? I don't know the man. He didn't push it through to the house. And that means you're not doing the job for the public that you represent. You don't bring your personal feelings into it. So anyway.
Thank you.
It is what it is, and I do appreciate you. And I wish you luck, because I will be selling and going to my brother's because of my health. So I hope you all make leeway somewhere down the road. Have your junkyard, build a privacy solid fence around it. That's your option. Take it to the dump or spend the money on a fence.
Thank you.
All right, thank you kindly.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so sorry I'm gonna have to go because this was a lot for me to be here.
Thank you.
I don't know if I can make it.
Is there anybody
I'm
else?
so sorry. The shooting pains that go through my body.
Anybody else like to address steering committee B?
I'm sorry, it's all the time. I made it though.
All right, calendar update. Our next meeting is full court meeting on April 21st at 6 o'clock. Next steering committee B meeting will be May the 5th. Following steering committee A, I'd entertain a motion at this time to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, this is purchasing.
Oh, this is purchasing. Oh, okay.
This is Robert
I keep
Chambers.
forgetting which one I'm in. This ain't fair.
This is short and sweet.
For our opioid
Okay, so
people,
it's
I'm
just
sorry,
us.
we forgot. We got one little quick link. It'll be just real fast.
Yeah.
It'll be fast.
Whenever you're
Y'all
ready.
ready? I'll go ahead and call this purchasing committee to order. And I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the March 3rd meeting.
I make a motion to approve the March 3rd meeting.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Oh, not hearing any. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we're going to item 3, review of the procurement process for RFP for trustee banking service.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we did a request for proposals process, started back in September, I guess. It's been a long, lengthy process. There's a lot to it, and got through it this past couple of weeks, and we have a recommendation. So we received 4 proposals for banking services. The highest number of points was awarded to First Horizon with 97 out of 100 points, and that is who we would like to move forward with. We did receive 4 different proposals, all from qualified institutions, but First Horizons had received the most points according to the matrix that we had in the RFP proposal.
All righty.
Would our trustee like to speak on this? Or are you good with?
Yes, after this process that Chad and I have gone through and moving forward, I have been in emails with trustees all over Tennessee and with the fraud, and we just decided that it was time for the safety of the county's money.
Motion to approve, to accept the First Horizon.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, is there any old business? Hearing none, is there any new business? Okay, would anybody from the public like to comment on the purchasing committee meeting? Okay, hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we're adjourned.
Golly, that scoring is
All right, we'll call the budget committee meeting to order. We will start with a roll call vote. Denny Wayne Robinson.
Here.
TK Austin. Here. David Cranford.
here.
Derek Hutchings. Kyle Goff is present. We have 4 present, 1 absent. We do have a quorum. We'll move to approval of the minutes from our April 1st meeting. They were in your packet. I'd entertain a
Make a
motion to
motion to
adjourn.
approve.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. The minutes are approved, or I'm sorry, any opposed? Okay. Motion carries and minutes are approved. We'll move on to some budget amendments from fiscal year 2025. First, School Federal Projects Fund. We have two that stay within committee. Director Markham, do you care to give us a rundown on those two?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First budget amendment is for federal programs budget, Subfund 951. This is the Out-of-School Time Career Pathways Grant. This is a $361.82 reclassification budget amendment, moving funds from the transportation bus drivers category to vocational education other charges. This is to cover some specific expenses in the vocational education component of that grant. The second budget amendment you have is for the Subfund 901. This is the IDEA Part B. This is the main special education federal funding that we received. This is a $13,450 budget amendment, and it's transferring line item funds that are not needed in categories within the grant to special education materials, supplies, and equipment for the fiscal year 25 IDEA Part B program. We'll start seeing several of these come through as we are winding down the school year and trying to expend these federal funds in the best means possible for the students. These will go before the school board on Thursday night, and so I'd ask that you pass them contingent on school board approval.
Make a motion to approve both of these pending school board approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion or questions for Director Markham? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those two budget amendments are approved. We'll move on to one from our general fund. This one will go before the full commission. This is regarding the opioid abatement funding. Is this you or?
Yeah.
Okay. Executive Robinson, do you care to?
All right, we looked at the first year's funding, which come out to be $138,000 and some change. We rounded up to $140,000. And we sent out an application process. It was kind of new to us, making up a grant process out of my office. The plan behind this is we're going to start issuing this on a calendar year, not a budget year. So I ask that they give me their request through December 31st this year. And then starting in probably October to November, we will go through this process again for the calendar year 2026. Not everyone was able to get everything in, but we've got 4 requests this time. One is, the first one here is Seeds of Hope. Let me back up just a little bit. This is the way I did this. I backed it up with what we call 2 large grants being $50,000 each and 4 smaller grants up to $10,000 each. Seeds of Hope has requested $50,000. We got a good application process here. They've got letters of support, listed their board members. We do have a representative or several representatives from that organization here if you want to question it. The second one I have here is from the school system. This would be for a vaping education. This would be under the preventive category. They're asking for $3,600 to get them through the end of the calendar year, and then they too will be applying. The third one is White County Sheriff's Department is asking for, it's called a Power DMS Shield Support. This is a yearly contract, so this doesn't actually, this was the one that won't actually be ending in December. It will go through into 2026, but it's a yearly contract, basically $10,000. And we have a representative, Nate's here, in case you have any questions about that. And we will need to discuss that one just a little bit. And then we have the Tennessee Community Service Agency. This is going to be for your justice-involved people. This is kind of gonna be like a drug court. What they're doing, they have a part-time person right now that's working that agency. This will be bringing this person to a full-time position, and to finish that out for the rest of the year will be $36,000 for the calendar year. So that's our 4 proposals. That comes up, I think, roughly to about $100,000. And then I'm expecting a few more to come in, maybe by the next Budget Commission. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't know how you want to do this, if you have questions or if.
What was the price on that last one from the Tennessee Community Service?
$36K.
$36,000.
Since we've got representatives from a couple of these organizations here with us tonight, why don't we start with that? If our commissioners have any questions, let's start with Seeds of Hope. Tina, if you want to come up. If we don't have any specific questions, we could just open the floor for you to give us a rundown of what you do and how you could use the $50,000. And then commissioners on the committee, if you'd like to address her with any specific questions, we can do so.
Well, first I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Robinson, for your diligence in trying to get this out as soon as possible. This money is most definitely needs to be for those of us that are working in this field trying to combat this crisis. The opioid crisis is major in our area, and Mr. Robinson came by and saw exactly what we do firsthand and seen just the areas that we do serve. Obviously, with Seeds of Hope, it will be in the housing department. We are just a local nonprofit, 501c3. We seek to provide temporary shelter for those suffering from the opioid use disorder and homelessness. The opiate crisis is one of the main forces we try to combat through our services, and Seeds is dedicated to helping these individuals and their families find true freedom with a holistic approach. We don't do maintenance drugs at Seeds of Hope, so everything we do is through a trauma-informed approach. I'm happy to report right now that we are 100% drug-free at the shelter. We are 70% employed, and we will be using, there is a schedule, I'm not sure if you guys have the Schedule B down there, but the areas of use that we will be in will be A6, A7, B1, B2, B4, B8, B10, and D6. Those are the areas that we will be serving the population. This funding will allow us to, part of it will be for staffing, and the other part will be with gift services, food, holistic care, things of that nature. I would encourage any of you all that have or would like to see it firsthand, please stop by anytime, give me a call. It's life-changing. And I believe Mr. Robinson can speak to that for himself.
I did go and visit, and it did change my mind to the service that is provided by Seeds of Hope. There was 4 people in there, I think.
At that time.
At that time. And then you had like 2 or 3 more that was that had gotten a job and were at work.
Yes.
2 looked like they were actively going through withdrawal. I would guess that's what you would
That
call
is,
it.
yes, sir.
I spoke with members of the board. Yeah, you know. I have to say that I do recommend this one.
Again, I am president also of White County Anti-Drug Coalition, and I would just like to commend the other 2 agencies that are here. This opioid crisis is one of the major things that everyone is trying to fight right now, and I appreciate you all for what you're doing, Nate, for what you're doing with the Sheriff's Department for the mental health aspect with what you guys are applying for. So yeah, we would appreciate.
Your all's facility, is it the new facility kind of right behind
Hardee's?
Hardee's
Yes,
right
sir.
there,
Yes,
on the
sir.
corner?
Yes, sir. That's us.
I don't know how you want to handle this, if you just want to do, The budget amendment's for 140. That's appropriating all the funds. What would happen is, as applications come in for the rest of the year, I would probably bring them to, if the budget committee approves the money to start with and approves any or all these, they'll go to full court. But then, when the additional ones come in, I'll probably send them to B, since the budget money's already been appropriated, to look at before it goes to full court.
Okay. Does the committee have any other questions for Ms. Lomax? Commissioner Cranford's reading over your papers right now, so maybe hang tight.
Okay.
And we might have some more questions.
Okay.
No, go ahead, you can proceed on them.
Okay. You can hang tight.
Okay.
And, yep, we may have some more. Nate, do you care to come up and we'll review the request from the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. So, again, I'd like to say thank you as well, being able to have these funds to use for my guys at the Sheriff's Office. If you have the packet there in front of you, what we are requesting, it's a system which is called Power DMS Community Engagement, or SHIELD. What it does is it runs in the background of our CAD, computer-aided dispatch with obviously E911, and our RMS system, which is report management system. And what it does is it would actually know which calls our officers are on. And so it will actually follow up with our officers that are working overdoses, child death exposures. I mean, you name it. We, this year alone, we'll probably go over it. But last year we had over 24,000 calls of service. And so what it'll do is, say you do work a death or something like that, the system will automatically, from our agency, contact that officer, be like, hey, are you okay? Is there anything you need to talk about? We're here for you. It's you can customize it to whatever you need to. It also has resources for our officers' side and then also on the community side. So at the end of a call, if the individual has used a cell phone, the system can actually send a text message to those individuals for surveys back to make sure we are doing what we need to be doing, that our officers are doing what they need to be doing on those type of calls as well. So what it'll do is, if you've given a review on our officer that's it's a 5-star scale. So if you've done a 3 or higher, it will actually send that positive review to that officer for morale issues. And then if it's a 2 or negative, or 1 or 0, I think there might be a 0, admin, we see that as well, and we can see where we need to fine tune maybe some of our officers that, and it might not necessarily be an overdose situation, but it'll actually do it across the board. It'll give us data. We have a dashboard that we can actually see both sides of it for the community engagement plus our officers. Actually also, since the funding first became available in 22, the quotes kept going up in price from 8,000, 9,000, 10. We got it to 11 recently. Whenever this came out that Denny Wayne was going to be now appropriating the funds, it ended up being 11,000 and some change. And I reached out to them and said, hey, this is the grant application. There's 2 different categories. Is there any way, I said, I understand if you can't, but is there a way to get it under the 10 so then we weren't in that next bracket of the 50? Because I understand we're not asking for a lot. I think most of this funding needs to go to these people like this, doing what they're doing on the outside. They actually were able to get it down to $9,990 for what we're wanting to do.
That is a yearly contract, correct?
It would be moving forward, and that's something that they also understand. If this grant only would go so far, either the agency would have to pick it up. I mean, we have drug funds, we have other, I mean, there's donors. We'd have to look at that in a year or so, yeah.
Or the county pick up.
Or the county, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This money's spread out over an 18-year period, right? But we expect it to continually decrease, right? So I would look at this as if we make an obligation this year for this contract for him, we're kind of obligating to continue to use this money until future commissions or make a different decision? Would that be?
Well, I mean, you would be,
I wouldn't want to use the funds for this year, and then next year we move it out of general fund, essentially is what
yeah,
I'm.
I mean, that would be up to the commission. I mean, that could happen, but I mean, it would be up to the commission.
I wouldn't ask for it to be in the means of effort, if that's what you guys are going
Yeah.
with.
The only, and I'm not against this at all, matter of fact, it sounds good. 911 is checking with their people to see how that integrates into their system. And I actually talked to Susie again today before we came up here, and she said they have not gotten back where they're that would be my only reservation on this, is making sure 911 is on board.
So it's called Power Engage?
Yeah, Power DMS, yes. They actually have other programs as well, but this is, they also have time management, policies, which we don't use them for that. Cookville City uses Power DMS, and Sparta City used to use Power DMS. I can't remember off the top of my head what they've moved to.
I use Power DMS, but it's the administrative side. It's more of the policies and things.
Right.
I was curious. So how would the people be able to rate you guys or their interaction with you on that? Would you give them a card, a website? How would that work out?
So if we responded to you or your residents for whatever you, I mean, it could be a property dispute, it could be burglary, whatever the call is. Your cell phone, if you used it to call dispatch, is where that data is coming from, dispatch. So what it'll do is then send you a quick, couple question survey, and then you would rate me coming out there. I mean, it's customizable, so we can see those.
So what if it was a house or business phone?
If it's a landline, I don't believe we can do it because it's a text message.
Okay.
Now, I believe we could probably still set something up with like a QR code or something like that if someone was to come in the lobby or something like that. But it's generally going to be personalized to you. Was our officer doing what they were supposed to? What's your comments? They did an outstanding job. I mean, it could be, you called our dispatch for a blowout inside of the highway, and officer came there and helped. You just want to say thank you, and our officer will get that.
Any other questions for Nate while he's here? All right, same for you. You may want to just hang tight. We may have some more.
Yes,
Yep, thank you. Do we have a representative from the White County Schools here tonight? Okay, so essentially there's, Executive Robinson mentioned this is funds to pay Nathan Ray $450 per class to teach a vaping education class. They do give some target measurements here. They expect a 25% reduction in vaping citations and repeat offenses through this class. The students will be referred to the classes by administration, teachers, and SRO officers. I'll pass this one around too, and that total was $3,600. Okay. And Ms. Spencer, correct? Yep. If you want to come up and give us a rundown of your application, and then same as with the other applicants, we may have some questions for you.
Alrighty. Well, I am with the Tennessee Community Services Agency, and we have partnered with White County since 2007. Originally, we were with the Juvenile Recovery Court, and then later on, it was funded through the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. And it's always been a small grant. In 2019, they decided to switch it to a family treatment court. And so we've been in the process of transitioning that for a period of time. We are up and running. We meet the first and third Monday of every month. Judge Meadows presides over the court. We currently have we had 5 participants. We just terminated 1 for noncompliance. But typically, this has been a part-time position, so that is what we're seeking. Is just the difference in the funds to be able to move our case manager to full-time status. And then also to offer some of the participants some specific assistance. Sometimes there's things that hinder their progress in the program, and I have some brochures I can give you to kind of give you an update about the program. so there's hindrances sometimes to completing the program. Individuals oftentimes need help with transportation. They need interlock devices put on their vehicles, they have to blow in to be able to drive. A lot of times they might need help with like fees for getting their driver's license and things like that. So there's a variety of things that we can help with. There's several categories that we meet as far as the uses. I think I've got them listed there on that application, so you can see what those are. But they're basically, again, with a lot of our participants may be criminals, but the court itself is not a criminal court, it is a general sessions court. And the participants are volunteer. They volunteer to come or are strongly encouraged to come. We receive referrals from the Department of Children's Services. We receive them from the judge, could be attorneys. We've had a lot of success. We had our first graduate actually in February. She was originally referred to us through the Department of Children's Services, and she declined to participate. But after a period of time, she decided she wanted to participate, and she was with us for about 10 months, and she was our first graduate. She had lost custody of her child, who was placed in the custody with his dad, and through our program and being able to help her navigate her, well, I should back up, I guess. The cases that we receive and the folks we work with are individuals that have child welfare cases. And so in substance abuse, opioid disorder, all those things have been determined to be a factor in their case. And so those are the folks that we get. And so that was the case with her, and she was, she didn't get she has joint custody with her child, but otherwise she would have had no custody, and she would still be using. And so obviously family treatment courts have proven to be effective. We follow the family treatment court best practices guidelines that are approved through research to be effective in combating, these problems. And so I don't really know what else you want to know, but we're very proud of it. We worked really hard to make this transition, and we have an excellent case manager. Matter of fact, I've had volunteer behavior health have commented, so I'm trying to hang on to him. I don't want somebody else to take. It's hard to keep really good workers when you can't really offer them, a good salary or benefits and things. So that's historically been a problem with small grants. And so that's another reason I just want to, one, it's needed to be able to get out in the community, make contacts, get more stakeholders. And then it's a deserving position, and to have quality people. Mark is was a veteran. He's been in the military for 8 years. He has experience with the Department of Children's Services, and it's anyway, we're just in a really good place. And Judge Meadows has been fantastic. And from the fiscal component, again, we've worked with Chad for many years through the Juvenile Recovery Court, and I originally come from the fiscal part of that. So we're very familiar with the structure and how government needs to account for funds and all of those things. And lastly, I want to say that I did apply. If you notice, this is from May to December, but I did apply for through the Opioid Abatement Council for their Community Cycle 2 grants. And I know it's very competitive, but I'm really hopeful. I think they had 296 applicants, and so I know it's competitive. But if we were to be awarded those funds, then we would begin with that grant, and the funds wouldn't be available until January. And so that was another motive for selecting this time period. And it seems like it fits into how you plan to run it too.
And then, of course, if they don't receive that grant, they will be asking for.
I'll be coming back.
You'll be coming back, but when this came down, I made the comment in several meetings, several people. I don't know how to best spend this money, but I want it to make the best impact for the people of our community. So I've kind of added some. Of course, there's rules on how you can spend it, but basically 3 big categories. Prevention being the first one, and that's where I feel like the school system vaping program is to prevent people from getting on opioids and other drugs. Second would be justice involved, people that are in jail, have been caught, and that's what Ms. Spencer's program does. Third being those that don't actually get involved with the law enforcement or the justice system, and those that are needing help afterwards to stay clean. And so that's where the Seeds of Hope comes in. So I think we're hitting all three major categories with this selection here. Now, there's a couple others that, like I say, it's going to be coming along. It'll be pregnancy issues and stuff with the people on drugs. That'll be coming in the next month or so. But that's, my friends, that's the best I knew to do with this, to try to divide this up to make it, and going back to the sheriff's department thing, I think that I'm all about them doing this. I think it'd be good for morale, good for, just for the department in general. But it does involve 911, and I feel like we need some sort of, you think I'm being fair? I don't want to see where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to her before.
That there needs to be some sort of buy-in from them is my only concern there.
And then also the reoccurring expense, like, because you brought up, Kyle, the reoccurring is be cheaper because you got the setup fee the first time.
Right.
The reoccurring is going to be $8,140. So it'll be a little cheaper moving down. Like I said, we're not requesting it to be in our means of effort. So.
Does the committee have any other questions for Ms. Spencer?
Nothing.
Does anybody want another packet for items?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Executive, I got a question about the school system vaping. When I read in there, they said the classes are going to be on Saturdays, and for those students doing that, is there any direction or incentive that the kids who are assigned to it are actually going to show up on Saturdays? I mean, I'd hate to allocate that money, pay that officer to teach 2 kids when there's 30 assigned.
I don't know. I don't think there's anything I can guarantee on that, other than if they, my understanding of this is if they don't participate, then they go through the court system, juvenile court system. I think this is a way to keep them from having to do that.
I see.
That's my understanding.
Because this is like in lieu of a citation, I believe, right?
I think, yes. I can get clarification for that before we pass it next week or 2 weeks in the full court. But.
Okay.
I would echo everything you said, Executive Robinson. I think we've got diverse representation here. I didn't know what to expect. I don't think you knew what to expect either. I really like the group of 4 we have here. So for the committee, for our purposes, Executive Robinson said earlier, we can appropriate the full $140,000. And then we can appropriate the specific funding tonight to these 4 organizations. And then moving forward, if any others trickle in, we can send that straight to Steering Committee B, and they can send that to full court, because the budget would have already done our part by appropriating the funds.
So do we need 2 separate motions on that?
Do you agree with that, Chad? I mean, you'll be the one doing the paperwork on that. Does each department need their own resolution, or just?
I think that would work. Just have a budget amendment, and then if you want a separate resolution for it.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
So let's entertain a motion to appropriate the $140,000 in opioid abatement funding.
I will make a motion to allocate $140,000 that has been given us by the grant, so we can start distributing it amongst these programs that are approved by the commission.
I have a motion on the floor.
I will second.
And a second. Any conversation?
Well, just,
my conversation, do we need to put, for the sheriff's department, as long as it will work with 911 system?
well, the way I'm looking at doing this is there'll be a budget amendment to appropriate the $140,000.
Okay.
And then that'll move everything out of budget. But then we'll have separate resolutions.
Each individual.
For each individual.
Okay, all right.
So the motion is to the $140,000.
And just for clarification, I don't want to be confusing anybody, the money comes from a lawsuit. It doesn't come from a grant. It comes from the opioid lawsuit.
From the opioid lawsuit.
And it's been given to the county for the county to give out as a grant.
Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, we've had 2 years' worth of funding to come in, 2023 and 2024. We're basically handling one
We're handling the first year.
bucket right
Yes,
now.
The first year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And next year's close, it's a little bit less, but it's close, the same number.
So in leading into January, we'll do this again for the calendar year for the 2024 bucket of money.
My plan is, if y'all, everybody agrees, is that we'll have it, probably, hopefully November, we'll have it done, ready for November's meeting to fund 2026 calendar year.
So we have a motion on the floor to appropriate the $140,000. We have a properly seconded. Any other conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, resolution carries. Now we'll move to the individual organizations that we've discussed tonight. We'll go in order as Executive Robertson presented them to us. First was the nonprofit Seeds of Hope at $50,000. I would entertain a motion to
I'd
pull.
like to make a motion
We have a-
to allocate $50,000.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
And a second. Any other conversation? Any questions for Ms. Lomax before we vote? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Second is the White County Schools in the amount of $3,600. Entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any other conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And White County Sheriff's Office in the amount of $10,000.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Any questions for Nate before we vote?
Is this gonna be contingent on 911 approval?
Yes, excuse me, yes, we need to make sure that this is contingent.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So you amend your,
Yes, I'm amending this to be in contingent with 911 approval so that it will be effective for everyone.
okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And lastly, we have the Tennessee Community Service Agency in the amount of $36,000. And I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve that $36,000.
We have a motion.
for Sutro Community Services.
Second.
And a second. Any questions for Ms. Spencer before we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Thank y'all.
Glad that's, yeah.
Don't
Thank
always
you.
celebrate just yet, it's still gotta go through full court.
Yeah, we'll vote 2 weeks from tonight. We will vote at full court to push those through. 6 PM, yes, ma'am. Yep. I wouldn't imagine so, but it would be great if you were here, just in case. We do have some other commissioners in the crowd. You guys could talk offline if you needed to tonight, but it would be great to have you here, just in case. Okay, you guys are welcome to stay or leave if you'd like. Thank you guys so much. All right, Mr. Markham, we'll move on to General Capital Projects Fund. We have one project that goes to the full commission. Do you care to give us an explanation there?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the General Capital Projects Fund, and if you recall, we set up 5 sub-funds within this Capital Projects Fund, 4 of which to account for the water line projects with the utility districts, and then also for the health department project. This is looking at Subfund 303, which is the DeWitt Utility District project. We've scheduled a bid date for that, and we are, actually that will be published, first publication will be tomorrow in tomorrow's Expositor for the invitation for that. But this would be an amendment of $1,187,150. $998,400 of that would be federal through state. $162,500 would be DeWitt's contribution toward the match, and then $26,250 would be our portion that's not already been appropriated from our Restricted Capital Projects Fund match. Again, this is coming from our American Rescue Plan funds that we've received. We're using that for our match, and the state's using their American Rescue Plan money for their portion of the grant. This is $990,000 for construction, $21,200 for other contracted services, and then $175,950 for engineering costs.
Thank you, Director Markham. Would entertain a motion to approve. We have a motion on the floor.
I will second.
And a second. Any conversation? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries, and it will go to the commission, the next full court meeting. All right, Mr. Markham, we got fiscal year 2026 budget updates. I'll let you lead the way, and then we can look different dates too.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So don't really have a lot to bring forward on this tonight. I just kind of wanted to see, get everybody's thoughts about other departments that that maybe you want to discuss their budget with. We have talked with the library, the sheriff's office, and also EMS. I just kind of wanted to see where you guys were at as far as hearing from other departments, and where we could get that on the schedule.
Has there been any discussion about setting the job descriptions or realigning pays or anything for people inside the courthouse? I know we had talked a little bit about it, but I wasn't for sure if we tried to set it up to where we've done anything to maybe realign, reassess that.
So we don't have anything like in stone on that, but that's part of the overall pay structure that we're looking at in those pay raises. So.
Okay.
So if we look at the next series of departments we'd like to have come in and present to us, and Chad, you can help us on kind of in order of impact, which ones should be next. But I was looking at April 28th is a Monday. There's a Republican Party meeting in this room, I believe, at 6 p.m. And we could dodge that meeting and go before, if this committee could, or the next day is Tuesday, April 29th, for a special call meeting.
I can do the 28th, I can't do the 29th.
Is 5 p.m. too early? We would need to be wrapping up probably at 10 or 15 till, so is that too?
Or we could have it downstairs if you wanted to.
We could do that too.
I know Derek usually likes 5:30, but.
We do 5:30 downstairs. If any of us attend the Republican Party meeting, we probably have to forego that, or it'd be late. And do it on the second floor.
I think that's fantastic.
Is that okay? April 28th, 5:30 on the second floor. Now, Chad, if you could help us as far as impact on the budget, which group we should have come in next. I do assume we'll have EMA come in.
That was going to be my recommendation is typically out of the folks that typically come and present to you. I don't know of anybody else besides EMA that's probably expecting that or has requested such. But if there is somebody on that list of requests, that would probably be the time to do it. But again, I don't.
I would
I don't know
kind
of
of like
anybody.
to have maintenance department. I know Doug's probably would not be comfortable.
Okay.
And I
We
wouldn't
can
care to
get-
speak for him if he's not, or Jerry probably works over there more than I do.
We can get
But I would
Doug
like
to come, yeah.
Could, do you think with the support of you two, Doug could come and at least
Yeah.
be here to answer any questions as long as you two are here?
Basically, put them in a smaller room.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay.
We can do that.
Yeah, so I'll talk. Was there anybody else on the list that you guys wanted to?
What about the highway supervisor? When are we gonna have him come?
Pretty easy, I can tell you.
He'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, we can knock that, we can talk with Jerry, that night too, if you want to.
Does that work?
We don't give Jerry any money, I don't know what he wants to talk about.
Real short, sweet for you.
I can't really see anything else on that list that, jumps out at me, so.
So that'd be the maintenance department, OEM, and our highway supervisor, correct?
Yes.
5:30 Monday, April 28th, on the second floor.
And obviously Jerry's here, so he knows, but I'll make sure that the other two know as well.
Do you guys want any presentation from our end for the lease fleet, or you guys have questions, or you guys just gonna kind of make up your mind on that? I mean, I respectfully go both ways, but I know he had mentioned wanting to know more, and if I need to get something in line for you guys, I will.
I do think, not necessarily just the fleet agreement, but I do think on a night when we've got kind of a more ample amount of time, we would go back and revisit EMS, Sheriff's Department, and the library. So that would probably be that night. We would do that, so the fleet agreement would probably just be included in that. So it'd be great if you could come, and if you want to be prepared to speak specifically about the fleet agreement. But that night, we'll probably just rehash all the requests and start to dive into it, yeah. Yeah, April 28th. Yeah, just open conversation, just about the last, I don't think we really had an opportunity to talk about the last round of presentations. So, it may be more open discussion and questions for you, but I think it'd be good for us to look back at those. Any old business to come before the committee? Any new business?
Do we want to discuss anything about the open meetings?
Tonight?
Well, I was asking, or if you want to send that through A or B or something.
I think we can talk about it here in this committee first and then send it. Which committee would that be? Since we know a dollar amount, it's ultimately going to come back to us regardless. So, yeah, we can discuss it here. And then you may want to put it on one of the A or Bs. Probably A.
I was going to try to get you the exact dollar amount.
I think it's a great idea.
Do we need to send it to a committee or?
Well, no, it can go straight to budget from here.
Straight to full court.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Straight to full court. I was trying to get the.
Would this not just be something we would include in the budget talks for?
In next year's budget, yeah.
Fiscal year 26?
Yeah. Okay. I said it could go straight to full court from here, but you're right. It can't, if we passed it, they couldn't implement that quick, so next year's budget is accurate.
So why don't we just leave that within committee and include that in our conversations for fiscal year 26?
I would like to see it implemented quicker than the next fiscal year myself. I think it's,
We're getting close to the end anyways.
Yeah, I don't, to get it, it's probably gonna take them 2 months after the time we say yes. So I don't know that we'd have to pay any money to the next, but if we committed to it, they could probably have it up and running by July 1.
did you get a chance to talk to, Sasha?
Yeah, we would want her opinion and blessing, I believe.
Sitting right here. I think it's great. It's a lot cheaper than I thought it was gonna be.
Price,
and I thought that's really good.
Aesthetically, it is an awesome program. Just the logistical look of it. I do think it would help us as commissioners and help the public, both. Is if you're sitting at home and we say, resolution 4008-2020. Go look up and see which one that one was. If we say that, the public has no clue what that resolution is, and I do think this would help with that. And the price was well under what I thought it would be.
Well, the base, I think it was a good deal as far as the setup fee was.
No, we have to buy the
stiff.
tablets though. and
We
all
have to
that,
buy the
but
tablets.
that's not that,
Yeah,
that's.
The only reason I would just hold off and include it in the budget talks is we're gonna be scrapping for $10,000 here in the next couple months as we move along this. And, I'd just like to hold off and include that in the bigger picture. Those $10,000 are not gonna be easy to come by here when we get close to the end.
Not in a couple of weeks. Funny how fast it goes.
Of course, we're talking the 10,000 and that's the basic one, the essential one. The Pro does the packet and documentation creation. That's gonna take care of your actually creating the agendas and creating the minutes for the agenda. I don't think the basic does that. That's what would help the clerk's office.
And just for clarity, we're probably looking at a procurement issue here too, since it's 10,000 or more.
Okay. Good point. I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
I didn't even think about that at all.
One of the quote that I got for doing cameras in here, and it would work for, it's court related, was like close to like 30,000. So that's why I was blown away whenever I heard the price being so low. Which, Chad, I mean,
And-
would that be something, courtroom security fund, being that it's the courthouse, that we could look at? Or is that overstretched? At least the implementation, and moving forward could be other things.
I mean, that's a question for Chad, but
I have
that
to
is a
say
really
that's-
good thought.
That's a very good point.
That's a great idea.
But I don't know that it would be considered safety. I don't.
I said they'd have to be able to use it too.
Well, I mean, yeah, because I didn't see a part where it's court related, but if they have that module, the thought.
Set up in a jury box, is that what you want?
Well, we're kind of stuck here.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna
let's, Chad, if it's okay, at some point, you just bring this back to us, on an agenda as we're moving through the 26 budget, if that's okay. Any other new business? All right, we'd open the floor for public comment. If there's anybody that would like to address the budget committee, come up and state your name.
Why don't
You'd
you
have
state my name? Nobody else.
roughly approximately 3 minutes to address the
My
committee.
name is Connie Davis. I have a question about how much money we've brought in on the hotel motel tax and who gets that money and who keeps
It
it
is,
and all that.
It is ironic that you asked that because I believe the executive, just in his recent newspaper article, had some stats about traditional lodging. Is that,
Yeah.
I may be wrong there.
Yeah, I talked about it a little. I don't have that fund number. It used to be real low. It used to be like 12,000 or something. Yeah.
I think if you include Airbnb, it's getting
moved up
closer to
around
100,000.
60. But it goes towards tourism enhancement, such as that.
And that's earmarked toward tourism, right? Yeah.
Okay, you had mentioned on the radio about making a deal with the state over the chamber.
Yes.
What kind of deal did we get out of that?
We are looking at $400 a month is what, that's not been signed or nothing yet, but that's the offer that's been made.
Okay. and
When I
how
say
long-
the offer's been made going up the chain. that's not-
Is it gonna be for about 2 years?
That's what they say. I figured it'd be longer, honestly, but.
Well, I haven't talked to you at all about this, but I think you correct me here. I think it's less about the 400 a month and more about they're gonna help with some of the build out and renovations up front.
If you're going towards about that money, of course, all that would have to come and go through the budget committee, but we're looking at putting that in buildings and maintenance.
Where does the health department stand at right now?
That is, should be out to, well, we're waiting on the bid specs to come in. That's where we're at. We had a meeting, when did we meet? Couple Wednesdays ago or something? And looked at the final plans and they weren't really final. There was a few changes made, but, we're waiting on the bid specs.
Where do we stand on the money for the land we bought at the Rock House?
It's in the state still.
Still ain't?
They ain't done it. It's going through their acquisition process.
Okay.
The survey, they have to have it surveyed, appraised, and something else. And the surveyors were supposed to have been out there last week. Now, I didn't go check. They just told me that they were supposed to be out there, but I haven't double checked that.
So we don't have any idea where that money comes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good questions,
Yes,
too.
it was.
Connie stepping her game up. Huh? I said those were good questions. Anybody else from the audience like to address the Budget Committee? All right, hearing none, our next special call meeting will be on the second floor on Monday, April 28th at 5:30, and then we'll be back here the first Monday of May in this room here. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Two motions.
We are
two
dismissed.
seconds.